Hey guys, I want to introduce you to Mitch Boggs. He's a state representative. He's a cowboy. He's a horseman, father, grandfather, preacher, and just a great friend for the last 20 plus years. Anyway, you're going to get to know him in this interview, and I thank you guys so much for listening and watching. We're cleared for takeoff.
Mitch Boggs, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Wait, thanks for coming. So we have so much in common. I mean, we both wear the same hairdo.
Yes.
Maybe not completely.
Well, I thought about not shaving today and just seeing how much I could get out of that, but I voted against that. So
Okay. And you're a pilot?
I am a pilot.
And you own horses?
Yes. Well, and before we jump from the pilot deal, I wanted to fly to Lamar and drive up because I think it sounds so much cooler to say I flew up here for this than to say I drove. So doesn't it sound cooler?
It sounds way cooler.
Yeah. And as a pilot, you probably know what I'm talking about when I say people make a big deal about being a pilot. You can have a $40,000 plane and a $90,000 truck these days, but being a pilot is the thing.
A lot of people don't realize, like, we have Cody's plane's a 64, mine's a 78, and neither one of them are worth, our vehicles are worth way more than our planes. But you just assume when someone's a pilot, as a kid, we always thought if you were a pilot, you had to be a multimillionaire.
Oh, yeah.
And it's not true. It's not true. If you have a love for being a pilot, a person could do that and not have horses or something and make it happen.
Yeah. And I think for a plane, for me, it's having a plane that you trust. And, some people might struggle with being an older plane. But if it's solid and the engine's been gone through and it's something that I can understand in my mind, I trust that more than I do something that's all push button.
Oh, yeah. The glass cockpit, I would opt for some steam gauges because I keep expecting the internet to quit every day.
Yeah. I remember the old 2000 deal. So.
Oh, yeah, Y2K?
Yeah.
Boy, that was such a anticlimax.
Yeah, it really geared us up for a lot. But it also, I think the good thing that comes out of bad things is something that we don't want to, ever forget. We wonder why we go through bad things, and I'm going to bring that up, being that I've got a hat here that's got a few signatures. There might be a couple that you recognize. I've got Michael Parson, which was our previous governor, Jay Ashcroft, which is our Secretary of State, First Lady is on here, and some of these, Curtis Trent, probably the senator for this area here, which at the time was a representative. But the signatures on this hat, Ben Baker, and now he's got appointed to the USDA by Trump. We got Roy Blunt. There's several.
I saw Roy preach one time. He did a good job of that.
So there's several, and so why did I bring this hat?
Can I see it?
So just a cheap little hat.
Well, I don't want to jump into this quite yet. I want to just, first of all, you are a representative.
That's correct, yes.
Of what district?
157, so Lawrence County in particular.
Lawrence County, okay. And so really you live 45 miles from me roughly.
Yeah, I would say so.
Something like that. Mm-hmm. But you're not a representative of my county. I've done business with you, and I've shod your horses and your kids' horses for a long time, and we're friends. That's why I was able to finagle you into this interview.
Yeah, and I love to talk. I love people, and I love to talk. So this is my gig.
So I always knew you as a builder and a cowboy.
Yeah.
And a heck of a father.
Yeah.
And now you're a representative.
And a grandfather. Husband.
Yeah.
A pastor. President of the fire board for the Villa Fire Department. On the road district there for Vineyard Road District. So
you wear lots of hats.
I wear lots of hats.
So how did you come by this one?
So that hat came through a really sad time in our life. So in 2019, April 24th of 2019, I decided to run. I decided for state representative. And I decided that the government was in my life too much and in your life too much. And I thought I was gonna go make a difference. And then in August, I had a motorcycle accident. Slid 330 feet down 96 highway.
I've seen a picture of you on Facebook. Looked like you'd been in a brawl.
Yeah, looked like I'd been in a fight. Yeah, that was that fight. Yeah.
How did the wreck happen?
So a deer hit me in the side, knocked the bike out from under me.
How fast were you going?
I was going about 62 whenever it happened. 65 is the speed limit. I was going pretty slow. It was kind of dew on that morning.
What kind of bike?
I had a Harley Fat Boy.
Okay, all right.
A white, pearl white, beautiful bike. So when I seen the deer in the corner of my eye, I leaned into it, but the deer ended up hitting me low and knocked my feet out from under me. So I ended up sliding. Looked horrible. So I went through that bad time.
Did you break any bones?
I did not.
Wow. Concussion?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I had some issues for a few months. I couldn't stand to feel someone walk around me. It would shake my head too much.
Oh, so like vibrate your...
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So then I thought that was bad. Came through that. Look at me now. The only thing I've got is a little bit of a lip that's numb all the time. But, if that's the lesson I have to learn.
Yeah, that's not the worst.
No, it's
were,
not bad.
Were you wearing a helmet?
I was, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Had a leather coat on and never even scratched my boots. I don't know how I did that, but everything else took. I guess it's the old cowboy don't step on my boots still,
Do you still ride motorcycles?
I actually sold it for my wife's sake, but yeah, I would ride one today. I love motorcycles.
My brother-in-law, Cal Noyens, he was a Marine, had a lot of combat experience, was one of the toughest guys you'll know. And him and his wife got hit on I-35. Well, actually, they didn't get hit. They were on the interstate, and a car came off the off-ramp and never saw him, pushed him into the medium. Mm-hmm. And they didn't expect him to live. He was not wearing a helmet. She was. She broke her neck, but it crushed the back of his head, and his brain was exposed. But because he is so fit and so stubborn and so strong, you would never know it. He suffered a bad brain injury. The VA took care of him because of his combat. He was at a different level than just a veteran. Were you a veteran?
No, I was not.
Okay.
No.
So because of his combat experience, he was really given some special treatment. He got rehab right away and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he does not ride a motorcycle for his family's sake.
Yeah,
but
that's me.
When I talked to him, he said, "Yeah, I would fork one right now."
Yeah. So had that happen, won my primary.
How long after the wreck?
The primary must have been in. No, I had the wreck in August, so I'd have to do the math on that, but right there, it all happened at about the same time.
So you were campaigning, looking like.
Yeah, so the next Saturday after the wreck, I was at the Miller Fall Festival, and I looked horrible.
That might be the pictures I saw, because it looked like you were
standing
you were talking
amongst
to a
the crowd.
crowd. Yeah.
I was pretty determined to win. I thought this isn't going to hold me down.
Was it a hard fight?
It wasn't. It wasn't a mean fight. It was a primary, so it was Republicans against Republicans. But we had a fair fight, and it was I won by 284 votes, which is slimmer than what I'd like to think. But anyway, that keeps us humble. So I got through that, won the primary, and got into October and found out my daughter-in-law had contacted cancer.
Oh, man.
And so we was having a benefit, and I was trying to think of ways, and that's all you can think about. The motorcycle accident was a part of me. This was something that wasn't a part of me, that I could not put it down at night. You can't walk away from it. Every time you look at someone that's about that age with 4 kids, you thought about it.
What kind of cancer?
Like a leukemia, something in the
blood. Like a blood cancer.
Mm-hmm,
okay.
Yeah. So she was 20-some years old, married to my oldest son, and 4 kids. And during COVID, you remember COVID?
I remember COVID.
You couldn't visit anyone. You couldn't be.
So she's in the hospital in isolation.
So she's in the hospital, can't even visit with her own kids. So so we decided to have a benefit for them because it was expensive. It was, I don't even know what it cost, but I call her my $1 million daughter-in-law, but don't know what it was going to cost. But anyway, at our truck wash was fairly new then. We owned a truck wash.
Where's that at?
Exit 33. So
you still have it?
Yeah, we do.
On I-44.
Yeah, it's between Circoxie and Mount Vernon there. It's just 3 or 4 miles east of Circoxie.
Okay.
And so we had a benefit there. But anyway, during that time, during the primary, I was going to all these events. And so as I went to these events, I people would ask me about my daughter-in-law. So every time somebody asked me about her, I had them sign my hat. So I ended up with a lot of signatures.
That's awesome.
So at this benefit auction, I took my hat and I sold it. So the person that bought that hat then gave it to my son.
Wow, how cool.
Yeah.
Did it sell for lots?
Yeah, I think it brought like $1,000 or something.
Very,
And then
very cool.
they gave it to my son. And so during that time, that was in October. So first time I really got to see her was Christmas. Well, Christmas Eve.
My.
So we had a family event.
So she had been through 2 months of
Yeah.
hell, really.
Yeah. So COVID, can't visit. So we took advantage of some of this stuff we're taking advantage of now. We were doing FaceTime and all of those things to let her be with her children. And she was so much medication and stuff that sometimes she would fall asleep, watching her kids, but that was fine. She was at least getting to be what felt like the same room with her.
Wow.
So on Christmas Eve, I open up my gift and there's my hat back.
Wow. What a story.
So my point in all that is things, what you do comes back to you. And so that's been my life.
Did your daughter-in-law pass?
No, she's
going.
She's still going. Had another little baby
Had
last year. Yeah.
Oh,
A
man.
little Ruby, a little
And
bundle
baby
of
healthy?
energy. Yeah.
Daughter-in-law
everything's-
healthy?
Everything's great, man.
Man.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, we serve an amazing God, and so, he can make some of this stuff. Why do we go through these bad times like this? Well, it leaves impressions on us. It leaves scars. I mean, you've rodeoed a lot. Do you have any rodeo scars?
I have a couple of fake knees that you can't see. You can see the slice, I guess.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Mitch Boggs here. I'm interviewing Gregor. Well, let me tell you how I kept you in my phone. You'll get a kick out of this. Horseshoer from Lamar, from back to the building time, way back whenever we met.
So you built that building for me, was it early 2000s or was it late 90s?
I think it's late 90s.
I think it was too. I was going to guess 99, but
Yeah, I would say that's pretty close. And so, being horrible with names as I was, I used to just put things that remind me of this person.
okay.
And so I take that as a.
Does it say do not answer below that?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't say do not answer. But connections that you make back then follow you till today, and they turn into friendships.
Absolutely. Yeah, because I've seen you at a dozen rodeos since
Oh yeah,
at least.
yeah. We see each other and we make contact and we'll say hello. But it's amazing how many times you bump into one another through life, not just through at rodeos, but just through life.
So your building business is a family business, right?
It is, yes.
And-
Word of mouth.
Well, I'm not talking about the where you get the work, but I mean the people that work for you are your sons. And
Yes, yes.
And were you the one that started it?
So my dad actually started. I started with my dad when I was 12.
So he started Boggs Construction.
Yep.
You started working with him when you were 12.
Yep.
What year was
And
that?
Being the oldest kid, I was the that'd be in 84. Being the
Okay.
oldest kid, I was the lead man, and for many, many years had no reason to leave whatsoever. Being the lead man.
And how many of your
paid well.
sons work in that?
So let's see, I've got 5 sons that are helping with that, and then 1 son-in-law.
And are you the man in charge?
Well, I don't know. It depends who you ask, I guess. But
Is your dad still part of it?
no. So I branched off from my dad back whenever the Joplin tornado hit. It hit 3 of my wife's cousins, and so that peeled me away. And having 1 girl and 7 boys, I had my own crew, and so I asked my dad for a little time off to get some of that caught up, and it turned into a business of its own.
Okay, so I run a family business, and I'm the patriarch, but it's not always easy. And so do you have any magic formula for running a family business?
Well, being that I worked for my dad for so long and being the oldest, feeling that load that comes off, I think it's given me a little bit of insight as far as how to treat my sons, because whenever we come home at night and they're right there and something needs done, it's easy to say, hey, go out there and do that, or go do that. So you gotta remove yourself from being boss man to dad.
So do you more or less take a different demeanor whenever you're boss
Yep.
man? Okay.
Yeah,
So
whenever you're, and they're not necessarily on the clock, but just for the sake of the story, when they're on the, if we're starting at 8, when 8 o'clock comes and you're not there, there needs to be an explanation.
okay. And if it's Sunday supper at 1 and they get there at 1:10, not really a big deal.
Not so much. That's more their time of deal.
Yeah. So the way I do it is in my mind, I'll never let a horse's foot or the messed up inventory or a student problem interfere with my family. So even if there's a choice during a situation, I always choose family. And so far, and I don't know if I'm just blessed because my kids are easy to be around and my wife's easy to be around. I don't know if it's that or I'm just lucky. But so far, we've been able to avoid the explosions that so many family businesses have, and you have too, haven't you?
Yeah, we have our problems just like anyone, but you treat each one as if it's the most important thing. And I pastor as well. I've preached for over 20 years now, which is hard to believe.
Did you go to Bible college?
I did not.
Okay.
No, grew up in church and was called to preach. I dodged that calling for 12 years and
Wow.
finally gave up the run.
I sometimes am so thankful that I wasn't called for that. I've had to preach at a few rodeos and I've preached at a few clinics and that sort of thing. But to be a full-time preacher, I can't imagine that for my life. I don't know.
Well, it turns you into a counselor and everything else, because
yeah, of course.
As soon as the title's there, and so I think that has helped me as well. Let me back up a little bit. And our church is a family church as well. So the same people I'm preaching to is people I worked with all week. So
Oh, wow.
So
you really have to,
it's a tight wire.
Yeah. And if you're going to talk that talk, you really need to walk that walk because you got a bunch of people watching you.
Not to mention, I would a lot rather go to Texas and preach to a congregation I've never met than to preach to people, because if you do cross that line and cover something that happened during the week, you're taking advantage of a position that's not meant to be.
Well, and maybe poking a sore that's maybe a little raw.
Yeah. Something I've learned is people, when they're doing wrong, they know they're doing wrong. I like to be a solution man. And I think that's helped me. God's helped me with that. I was born that way. That's helped me be the PR guy that I am on my business. Is whenever someone's door leaks, I take that personal. Whenever someone's roof is coming loose, I take that personal. And I've had to learn to take it less personal, but I take it personal in the fact that I'm not going to be happy until you're happy.
Well, that's probably why it's so successful. And how far out are you? Because I tried to get you to do a bid on our porch here, and it was going to be so far out that
Yeah, we're right back in that same. We was getting to where we were probably 4 to 6 months out, and then all these storms hit, and I've got a growing list of people that are wanting something for their insurance or something. Just the list has grown.
And you build everything?
I wouldn't say everything, but I would say we do all steel and wood. So we will build your riding arena out of all steel, and then your house dominium on the end of it out of wood with steel front, And then I do a lot of beam work. I don't know if you've been around and seen any of my projects, but the rough sawn trusses and beams has really taken off. And so
like an interior.
Yeah, or a porch, like you've got the basic metal building that's just got tin on it, and then your front porch has got this rough sawn beam.
Okay. Do you have a sawmill as well?
I do not, no.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Maybe next week.
Yeah, I got a cousin that does, but I ordered a lot of the rough sawn stuff out of Oregon. You can get 6x6, 8x8s, and just big beams. You put them black plates on there, and it really
looks good. Huh?
Yeah, and being a Western guy, that really fits.
Oh yeah.
So I fit the horse market really well because
You are that market.
It is who I am. Yes,
Right.
and so
Have you rode all your life?
Hey, I'm here at TD Donkey Rescue in Louisiana. She is she's the one behind us. So there's anywhere from 80 to 120 donkeys here all the time. It's a great place for the horse show school, a great place for these donkeys, and a great place for you to find a donkey. So if you have a donkey that's in need of a place to go, or if you just wanted to always have a donkey, like the girl holding the camera, check out tddonkeyrrescueinc.org. And thank you very much for watching.
I have ridden. I don't remember starting to ride.
Okay, so you were on a horse before you remember
Yes.
life. That's very cool. And all your boys have too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've had sad days when I thought my boys were going to walk away from it. Whenever you see them playing golf, and nothing wrong with golf, but you just watch that trend and you're like, oh, well, here we are.
At least it's golf and not Call of Duty or something.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that could be a lot worse, and I tell my wife that a lot. But I'll tell you what, whenever I go and see all those grandkids, and whenever you hear, your grandkid's name being mentioned, and
At the rodeo.
you're a third of, well, it feels like a third of the rodeo,
Yeah.
It warms your heart. I mean, we got cowboys and cowgirls. There's ropes twisting. There's ropes laying in the yard. There's ropes. Whenever you mow, you pick up ropes. Whenever you back out of the garage, you pick up ropes. Whenever you're cleaning your truck out, you're cleaning out a rope. That's a good thing.
And your son Roper.
Yes.
He does what, 6 events, something like that?
Yeah, he does a lot. I thought he was a little crazy wanting to go to Stephenville, Texas and join down there. And I don't remember how much it was a loop, but it was a lot. We went down there and stayed. It was a 3 or 4 day event. I think we went down Thursday and left on Sunday. And he joined. There was over 300 teams. And 2 days in a row, he got to the last 20. What do they call it? The top 20.
Okay, yep.
11-second cutoff, which, a lot of rodeos is won by
Right.
more seconds than that.
Yeah.
11-second cutoff, made it to the finals 2 days in a row. And then on Sunday, his healer missed.
Oh, man.
That just makes you feel good, though.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's that is one of the big problems with team roping is it's not just you.
Yeah, you don't want to ride down with the guy you're roping with. It'd be a long ride home.
Unless you win.
Yeah, if you win, that'd be fine. But can you imagine riding back if there's money on that?
Yeah. I've been in that truck on both sides of it. Where I was the one that caught,
exactly.
And I was the one that missed.
and that's back to the hat deal. What goes around comes around. Whenever somebody tears something up, it's easy to get bent out of shape and everything. But then you tear something up and they're all watching. You're like right. It's no big deal. It's all good.
So like a water tank gets left on, and that irritates me to get a $200 water bill.
Yeah.
And then I will do it. If I get irritated enough, it seems like the next month I'm the one that left it on.
Isn't that so true? So that's been one of the life lessons I've learned. And being at the house, being in the state rep is an interesting thing that I never dreamed I would do. Never thought, someday I want to do this. But here we are. I love it. In a strange way, I love helping people. I love many times my office is just connecting people to where they need to be.
And so you did this for the money, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
What made
for the pay cut?
For the pay cut, yeah. You took a massive pay cut to do
yeah.
this.
My boys have really never complained. Maybe they have to others, but they've helped carry the load. And I think that has to do with the way we raised them to work. My dad would be at a wedding or a funeral, and my dad would look outside going, well, we need to be putting metal on today. Great work ethic. I was taught to work, and I was taught to have fun when I worked.
Yep. Kelly, we were dating we started dating in '86, and she went home with me for Christmas. So he was a lawyer that had a ranch. And so he worked all the time. He was up at 4 a.m. doing office work. On Saturday, we would go outside and cut wood or build fence or do something until 9 o'clock. Then we'd eat a big breakfast till about 9:30, and then we'd work till 4, have a big supper, and then we'd work till dark. I mean, it was constant. We didn't have a television. And that's the world I grew up in.
We didn't either.
Yeah.
I still don't.
Well, we do now. But anyway, I took Kelly home for Christmas, and we're in New Mexico in the mountains where I grew up, and it's snowing. And we are on top of a barn screwing down tin, and it's Christmas Day. And she says, "Is it really Christmas Day? Can it be Christmas Day?" And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hun, whenever anybody come to visit, it was another laborer. I never got a friend to spend more than one night."
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But she stuck, and I guess
Meant to be then. Yeah.
yeah. But if you show your kid, so you can talk work ethic all you want, but if you show your kids work ethic, then once they're adults, they will do as they were shown.
And that's anything. That's being a Christian. That's being a pastor. That's being a husband, being a father, a grandfather. I can tell anyone what they're doing wrong. But back to leaving the water on. Until you leave the water on yourself, and everybody's like, everybody's smirking around the table because dad made his fault.
Yep.
But I love that, and I love the fact that not in a disrespectful way, but that you can laugh at yourself.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. It's a necessity whenever you get in a position like you have.
Yeah, because I've got to read stuff that I've done that I didn't even do.
Oh, that's right. So you probably hear all these horrible stories about yourself now.
I do. Yeah, I get lots of horrible stories. In fact, now that I'm a rep, I cheat people in my business. I would go to some of these events, and after when it gets really heated, because no matter which way you vote, it's wrong. And I went to this one event, and they was going to have me speak, and I said I'm Mitch Boggs, and I'm a right-wing conservative. I had all the things rhino, like I was in an AA meeting, telling them I needed help.
Right.
And that's difficult because you want to correct that. You want to interact with that. And once you do, you're in.
So whenever you're in that fight, how do you not fight back?
Well, those are just distractions. So if you're busy with that, you're not doing your job. And so fortunately, the job keeps you busy enough
that you just let that go.
That you have to. You can't do everything.
Does it bother you?
Sometimes, especially whenever someone I know and trust.
When it gets real personal.
When it gets personal.
Right. So if it's the other campaign manager says that it's not the same as a friend that's no longer a friend.
Yeah, so a lot of times, a lot of the hits I've taken have been amongst the Republican Party. They call themselves grassroots or whatever, and you can self-proclaim anything these days, I guess. But word of mouth, it's what somebody else says about you. So there's a gentleman that I used to go to church with that's up north of Lockwood here. We used to go to church in Sylvania, and we got a lot of buildings from this one gentleman up there. And all over the place. I don't mean in that neighborhood. I mean all over the place, which meant that he told people about us. But you know what I took away from that? The biggest piece I took away from that is that those people that was calling us didn't trust us. They trusted him.
Okay.
And so whenever you have people that trust, those people, whenever he said, if you want a building, you call Mitch Boggs. And they did it. That meant they took his word, that what he was saying. And so I think that's what I'm going to take away from this is I want to take that if somebody trusts you to trust me, then you're trustworthy.
And occasionally I'll get emails that people want me to represent something, and I won't hardly do it if it's not something that I know a lot about and truly believe in, because it
That's
is
smart.
Well, it's your reputation, right?
It is.
And so if I ever promote anything, it's something that I use, I like, I think works, and it's not just noise.
Yeah, and our office does that too. So there's a couple things I'll tell you about my office that maybe is interest to you. So talking about fighting back on what you didn't do. So whenever something leaves my office, let's say I get a bill passed, and we're writing up a column to put in the paper, and we say, House Bill, whatever, made it through the House and the Senate, and it's waiting on the governor to sign it. I read that and I go, wait a minute. It sounds like the governor's going, you know. So we took that, rewrote it, said, got through the House, got through the Senate, and it's headed to the governor's desk. And so we've tried to make positive compliments or statements or whatever you call it.
We do that constantly, and we try to, because you'll manifest it. So like my students, if I say, how you doing this morning? They go, oh, yeah, not so good. I don't let them do that. I say, you say I'm great. You say it's wonderful, because you will manifest that. And so if you allow negative speech, if you allow negative thoughts, if you allow negative connotations in your writing, it is looked at that way.
Yeah.
And it makes people feel that way. So yeah, that's very smart.
Well, because whenever you're reading something, so if I'm talking to you on the phone and I say something, there's a tone in my voice and there's all that to go with it. So, you know, whether it be a joke or whatever it might be. But whenever you send something out in a message and you don't put LOL on the end, sometimes there's a long pause.
Right. Yeah.
Trying to figure out where this is going to go, right?
Yeah. Texting does that all the time.
Yeah. And so whenever you're doing an email or a statement or a press release or any of that, you know, you're so busy, you don't want to proof it. You just want to, like, you want the office to get it put together, and let's get it out there as fast as we can.
And you use AI?
We do.
Do you really? I am surprised to hear that. So which one do you like? You like Chat, Grok?
I don't know what we actually use.
So you're not the one that's using it?
I'm not the one that's using it, but my office does use it, and I proof. But you know, like I said, you get so busy. So people ask you how much time being a state rep takes. All you'll give it, and then some.
So are you 60 hours a week state repping?
I don't count the time, but it's not nothing to take a phone call at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, man.
But you have time. So I'm a better manager of my time. So before I was a rep, we'll just take my neighbor down the road, for instance. You feel like you can visit them anytime, right? Or your grandkids, or you can. But now I have a calendar. I have to live life on purpose.
Sure.
So even this meeting here,
which I appreciate immensely,
and I appreciate the opportunity, but it's
scheduled.
It's scheduled. It's very. But what I found and what I like about it is I didn't realize how much time I was wasting. I was wasting time.
What were you wasting it on?
Nothing.
Okay.
I just wasn't living life on purpose. You know, I wasn't taking opportunities.
Are you an early riser?
I am.
Okay, I figured you were.
And I'm a late, and then I get to bed late. But
so what's your morning routine look like then?
It's never the same.
Oh, really?
It may be waking up to unload a truck at 7 o'clock. There may be a truck sitting out in front of my house needing beams unloaded. I mean, of course, I always try to take time for prayer. Sometimes I've got an ear pod listening to the scripture, though.
Okay.
Sometimes it's that fast. Other times, the phone's dead, and you're just like, "Is this not working today?" It just all depends.
Okay, so you don't have a morning ritual where you're up at 5 a.m. and you read your Bible till 5:30 or something like that. Okay.
Never have.
Wow, I just assumed everybody did.
No, so everybody thinks being your own boss is the greatest thing, or having your own business is the greatest thing, but you have so many bosses that you're constantly trying to make it work.
My daughter said it best. She goes, self-employed people are the only people that will work 90 hours a week so they don't have to work 40.
That is true. Yeah, that is so true. But I love it. I signed up for it. But I think the part that I want to leave with you is with every bad thing that happens, there's something that can be good. And that was even COVID. There was a lot of people that died. There's a lot of, but we learned a lot of things during COVID. We learned how important it is that everyone's essential. I mean, as a pastor, I didn't realize my first 18 years or whatever of preaching the word essential, I didn't put the essential part to that, that, man, everyone's essential. And we didn't realize how important everybody was.
Did you leave your church open during COVID?
We did.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I've been a Trump supporter from, early on. And I appreciated him coming out and saying that, churches can stay open, but that's not, he can't even say that. That's not his deal.
Yeah, it's irrelevant what he thought of that, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, that's what I keep telling people is that if you don't stand up for your rights, you have no rights.
I was going to ask you about this. So just yesterday, Trump and Elon Musk, here we are sitting in early June, have now had a party. And so when this election happened, I don't know about you, but I was grinning for a month.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody I talked to.
My face still hurts.
Yeah. We were at a convention, and it's horseshoers, right? So they're guys like me. And everybody was high-fiving, and because it just happened in November. And so the world just looked brighter. And I thought Elon was a big part of that. And so what do you think is happening?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I get a lot of stuff through my office, and I get a lot of stuff personal from people and friends that think I'm in the know more than I am sometimes. But they're just people.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And if we're together long enough, we're going to disagree about something. And then, is it an act? They're smart enough people. I do. I really do think it's possible. I've worked enough things to and made things happen. Whenever you're in that position, you can strategize a lot of things and get things done by outsmarting the other person.
Wow. Well, that would be an interesting turn if it did turn out to be an act.
But that all being said, it is two of the greatest egos out there.
True. It's a lot of ego to fit in one room.
It is a lot, and so whenever they were, what a lot of people call walking hand in hand for so long, it's only a part of time, matter of time. Whenever two people that are used to making the decisions, at some point, that's going to come to a rough spot. Sure.
Yeah. I guess it may be inevitable.
Yeah. Maybe it lasted longer than it should have, but.
Well, I don't know. That Doge, that also made me smile. That was a gift that just kept giving.
Well, yeah, it gave both ways, and that's not going to make that many people. It's not going to make everybody happy like we think it's going to. It's affecting somebody's little piggy bank.
But so many of the people that it's affecting were the ones that were stealing from you and me.
Yeah, and the whole Ukraine deal has concerned me over the last several years. Hearing Ukraine in the news, whenever you're not even paying attention about the Bidens and Ukraine. And then the next thing we know, we're giving that country money by the billions.
Yeah, it was unreal.
And I'm like, is anybody checking this out by chance? And it seemed like no one was.
Well, now it's coming home to roost. Yeah, like you said, but
it comes around.
It comes around.
And I think it, this has got a round brim, and it kind of resembles things coming back around. But as I go back through some of these names, like Parsons, he's termed out. Jay's no longer our Secretary of State. But he's moved on. Now Fitzpatrick is our auditor. He was our treasurer here. And so you watch and you see you're not going to be sitting where you are forever.
Right.
That there's constantly this movement going around, and I think that's what makes this country so great is the balancing of power. And I still say this saying quite a bit to people that's talking about our country and what shape it's in. I said we got to stand up and fight for it. You know why? There's nowhere else to go.
Absolutely.
And one of the great things that I like to do is I like to promote our great nation. And whether Biden was our president or whether Trump's our president, it's still the greatest country in the world. And I'm going to fight for it until there's nothing left to fight for. And I've got a bunch of grandkids, but I wanted to leave this with you today. And I appreciate you taking time for me today. making time for me. Because I know we all got things we could be doing, and most of all, I appreciate our friendship that has grown over our love for so many of the same things.
Yeah, well, it's right back at you because we do have so much in common.
We do.
So before I let you go though, what made you become a pilot? I've been wondering about that for the beginning.
Yeah, so I've wanted to be a pilot my entire life. It always seemed like it was out of reach. And everywhere I would turn for help or guidance, it was always a dead-end road. And so as I, became a rep, my brother's a pilot, and so I had a bill signing on like a Tuesday. So he flew me up. Then I had a meeting that night in Springfield, so we had to be back a certain time. So we flew up, flew back. That was so neat. Well, the next day I had a bill signing on Wednesday, and I had to drive to Jeff City. That's how I became a pilot.
Yeah. Well, very cool.
And I love to fly.
And this was 2020, 21?
Yeah, 2020. No. So the 21 is when I was sworn in. So in 21.
All right. How many hours are you at now?
I think I'm at like 4 something.
400. So that's quite a few hours. That's 100 hours a year.
I love to fly.
Yeah, me too.
And
what
I
do
love
you
to
fly?
sightsee. So I have a 172, Cessna 172 that my brother and I have, my brothers.
So, your son asked me to fly him up to Meeker, and my plane is not turbo either. And I'm trying to sell it for that reason because we go to Meeker quite often, and I want to fly over the mountains instead of flying up to Wyoming and through the valleys.
Yeah. I want to make that flight sometime so bad, but right now my plane has flown to Jeff City so many times that it's like a horse. Flying home, especially, I like flying to Jeff City. Sometimes I might sightsee a little bit or get a picture of somebody mowing some hay or something like that. On the way home, don't get in my way. I may not even get in pattern to land. I might
straight in,
flop right. Yeah, I might straight in. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So, can you tell us what your plans are for your political future?
Yeah, I guess looking at the hat, looking at how everybody's moved around, it's constantly moving. But at this point, it makes sense to run for Senate. It lines up in 3 years that I would be lined up for an open seat, and so that's kind of the direction I'm heading.
Do you dream of going all the way to the White House, or not really?
No, but I never dreamt of being a state rep.
Okay. Well,
so I'm here to do what I'm called to do, and there's days that I'm just like, what am I doing here? And there's days I'm just like, how did I even get here?
Very cool. All right. Well, can you tell me a joke?
I told one the other day. We were at the Pioneer Days in Verona, and though they was having the stick horse races. So I told the joke that whenever I was in school, I rode my stick horse to school, and some ornery boy stole my horse, and I had to walk all the way home.
All right.
So that's kind of a cowboy.
I like it.
A cowboy one.
Yeah, that's an excellent one. All right. And what about, I asked my guests to teach me something unrelated. So a lot of times somebody will teach me something about their job, like maybe a part of how you square up a building or best way to put down tin. So is there something you could teach me with words that would be of interest?
So I've always kind of been the inventor. So I was the oldest child, and so I was the kind of the lead man. And so we started without telehandlers, humble beginnings. So one things that I will teach you is never forget those humble beginnings. That's the first thing. That's whether you're a state rep, whether you're preaching, whether you're raising kids or visiting your grandkids at a rodeo. Don't ever forget where you came from. But that being said, don't be afraid to try things. And I think that's one of the things that's got me where I am today is not being afraid to fail. The reason so many people have not achieved what they want to do is because there's a what if.
Yep.
And some of those people that will turn you off from doing what you want to do is your family, your church people, and your best friends, because they don't understand what you're feeling.
Oh yes, absolutely.
And so don't be afraid to fail. And so that's, I know that's a scary, and it doesn't sound like there's much there, but
Oh no, there's a lot there.
the Bible says the fear of man bringeth a snare. And so not being afraid to fail, during my election, I'm very competitive. I don't want to fail. But I signed up with I could fail.
Oh, of course, yeah. And if you fail there, everybody knows, right? There's no
hiding it.
right. You're not going to move to somewhere else because you lost an election.
But the same deal with the family. We see people that's failed at their family or at their church, but if you're afraid of failure, you will do nothing.
When I was learning to speak Spanish, I got very into the art of learning languages. And one of the biggest problems for people trying to learn a new language is they don't want to speak to a native speaker because they're so embarrassed and worried about failing. And so I was doing a clinic in Mexico, and I was trying to do all my clinics in Spanish. And so tongs are tenazas de fragua, which is the pinchers of the forge, basically. And I kept saying tongas, which is a thong like a woman would wear. And so I said tonga.
I don't see the problem.
I gave about an hour lecture. Those guys kept giggling, but I didn't know why they were giggling. But they were so respectful. They didn't want to tell me what a fool I was making of myself. But I was doing that in front of 100 Mexican farriers,
Yeah. So I was an inventor. So growing up, when we started putting up buildings, there wasn't corner trim. There was some ridge cap stuff, but corner trim and ridge cap and J trim all came about afterwards. And so we were a big part of the trim that came about. So I have several pieces of trim that I invented, benders for the point, to keep it from blowing in, just different things. And all of those inventions came from a failure of some point.
I bet. Yeah.
Some problem. Whenever the snow blowed in, people's calling you going, I've got snow on my floor. What? And so back to, kind of where we started. Don't be afraid to fail, but what goes around comes around. And whenever you have those bad points in your life and you wonder why they're there, it's to teach you something.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you may, it may be a long time before you learn what it's trying to teach you. And maybe sometimes you never know. But in my life, most of the time I look back and I go, I'm a better person because of this.
Oh yes. Yeah. So I have testimonies where it looked like the end of it at the moment. And then a few years later, you can see God's hand in it. And one of my biggest is the blown motor in our truck. We started the school in 95. I had a 1994 diesel, blew the motor. It was a $5,000 problem, and I didn't have $5.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, well, I'll write some articles for Western Horseman, and a big magazine like that will pay thousands of dollars. I had no idea what I was doing. I wrote 5 articles one night because I had insomnia. I was worried about money, which I haven't worried about since, because even though we haven't had money many, many times, it's in God's hands. So I really don't worry about much, which kind of drives Kelly crazy sometimes. But anyway, I was praying. I said, what should I do? I wrote these articles. I sent 5 to Western Horsemen, thought, I'll make 10, 12,000 easy. They bought 3 of them, which I didn't understand at the time, but that's kind of amazing that my first 3 out of 5 got published. But they paid $170, and they didn't pay until they came out. And one of them didn't come out the first one didn't come out for 8 months. So it was worth nothing, but at least it's $170 coming at a point. And but it made me think I could write. So then I started writing for the Farrier's Journal, and then I wrote my textbook. But the textbook has been one of the biggest blessings of our life because it's sold so well. It's in Spanish and English, and it would have never happened if we hadn't blown the motor. If we would not have blown that motor, and I would have just barely kept scraping by,
you would have kept going.
I wouldn't have had the impetus because I wasn't a writer. I didn't think I was a writer. I didn't want to be a writer. I was looking for something, and there's many times you look back on it and the huge failure of my motor and the failure of my money, my money situation turned into massive blessing.
So what did you learn from the them picking 3 out of your 5? Like what was that like?
I was disappointed they didn't get all 5 because I really didn't know. I thought you send a magazine article to a magazine and they would just send you money. I didn't, when I say I don't know, I didn't know. I'm I'm not being facetious. I'm not, you
Yeah.
know, I was, and in 1995, it was a very different world. You know, the internet wasn't there.
Sure.
You didn't, and I didn't even have a computer. I wrote them on a Brother typewriter, the same one I used in college. It was really a nice typewriter because it
Yeah.
would back up and erase 10 words. So if you could erase any 10 words at a time, because it was Flash. That was a nice typewriter. But you could always erase one letter, you know.
Yeah.
But if you had a whole sentence you didn't like, as long as it wasn't more than maybe it was not 10 words, it was so many characters.
Mm-hmm.
You could push I can't remember, space and delete or something, and go.
It was gone. Yeah.
Yeah. It was the whiteout where the ribbon was black and white. Remember those?
Uh-huh.
So black on top, and it had the whiteout ribbon on below, and so
Okay.
it would do it backwards for you.
Yeah, I hated school. I hated typing and all that, and here I am today with so much paperwork.
And do you type quickly?
No.
I can teach you a trick where you can type over 1,000 words a minute.
Okay. Well,
So
maybe,
what you do?
Maybe we need to do that.
Yeah. Sit down next time you're at the keyboard and write 1000 WOR. With that method, you can type 1,000,000 words a minute.
Yeah, I think I did that once to the teacher when she wanted me to say I will not talk 1,000 times, and I wrote I will not talk 1,000 times, and I think she had something else in mind.
Yeah. Well, sir, I know you're a busy man, but we have about an hour under the belt right here. Very close.
Nice.
And it's been wonderful. I've gained a lot from this, and I think all the people watching will too.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope somebody gains something. So.
Yeah. Well, if I ever get a chance to vote for you, I will.
All right. Well, yeah, that'd be great. So I've got a little saying in my politics world that I've learned, and that is, if you're not working against me, you're on my side.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
I've had to learn that in politics because a lot of times some of the people working against you is on your own side, and you just scratch your head. You're like, what is the benefit of this? But I think some people are so distraught in themselves, and maybe the direction this country is going, that in a desperate mind, they're looking for someone to blame.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess if I get to be that person, you know, credit and blame looks a lot alike sometimes, and so they can call it blame, and I'll take the credit, and we'll just roll with that. It's been a pleasure to be with you today, though.
Thank you, Mitch.
Yes, thank
you.
you.
You're an inspiration.
Thank you.